I'm Jon Rafman. My practice lives at the meeting point of art and technology. I work with algorithmic images, immersive installations, and bits of everyday footage to map how digital systems shape the way we remember and how we move through the world.
I've always been in search of ways to communicate with as many people as possible using a language that feels fresh. And for me, when the internet emerged, it came up with new languages, new ways of communicating. There was a sense of excitement and also sort of idealism. Just this fast-paced exchange, conceptual and visual. I could be in Montreal and be like talking to artists everywhere in the world, from Berlin to New York to wherever. Felt like I was part of a active community that was in dialogue with each other and was feeling a kind of communal jubilation and excitement for all these new languages that I mentioned. And that's net art. So that's what I discovered and why I got so excited by the internet.
The imagery keeps changing as I navigate. They seem to be updating it in real time. They're cleaning up errors, glitches, things that don't belong in the system. Maybe I'm one of them.
I've always been interested in the character of the internet troll, or this sort of, and specifically the environment in which this archetype of our time lived in, which is oftentimes this messy keyboard desktop. That is a good metaphor for our existence right now, which is this physical world, which we can't escape, is known as meat space, by a lot of people online, which has decay, which has like the detritus of everyday life. And then there's the screen space, which is this immaterial, promise. I've been always interested in this, finding historical continuity between the past and the present. So I've been highly influenced by the Romantic tradition and the decadent tradition after that, and trying to draw a parallel between this internet troll as sort of flaneur dandy figure. That image of the messy keyboard with the romantic landscapes in the back, and in the front you have the detritus of everyday life, to me is like a very powerful image that represents my particular, condition as an artist, which is searching for the sublime, because these were romantic landscapes tied to the tradition of, romanticism and the quest for the sublime, but in this new hyper-mediated reality.
I don't have one single photograph of her, even though we spent the better part of our youth together, traveling the globe. We hiked Machu Picchu. We crossed the Atacama Desert. We visited the Great Pyramids of Giza, and yet I have not one photo of her. She never let anyone take pictures of her. She said she would rather think of things the way they were in her memory. The truth is, I think she believed the picture could steal your soul.
Two of my projects really come closest to maybe expressing what I think is like the internet sublime, and that's the one we're surrounded by right now, which is the Nine Eyes of Google Street View. You think you know the world, and then you find a world inside the world, and then a world within that, and a world within that, and it's like, it just goes on, and it's literally impossible to conceive. This was what a lot of my practice, I think, was trying to express, that sort of the excitement of the possibility of these new worlds to explore, be it in Google Street View, but also in Second Life, which was a sister project, where you can see here, this is my Kool-Aid Man pin, because I was a Kool-Aid Man avatar that wandered through Second Life. What excited me about Second Life was that, unlike a video game, which is all top-down created by a company, this was a user-generated world. So it felt like the closest thing to a visual representation of the internet, which was at the time super diverse in terms of everybody had their own website, and it wasn't all centralized in these giant social media companies. And so this incredible diversity of and incredible juxtapositions that were the closest thing, I think, to what sci-fi thought the future was going to be. Like in Snow Crash, of these virtual worlds where you can have a 6-foot tall penis avatar next to an image of the Mona Lisa avatar, and then a huge bimbo, and then a furry next to that. It just was a true postmodern wonder world. With Google Street View, I saw this sense of the Google car as being this indifferent, anonymous camera that just trolls through the world. This all-seeing eye that doesn't have any sort of moral position towards what it's capturing. It's just a feature to Google Maps. So there's that aspect of the pictures. And then there's this artist gaze, the human gaze, the audience, which sees meaning, sees beauty. And for me, that is a modern tension that it expresses. In the corner, it says report a problem. And earlier it said report a concern. And if you think about what that means, it's kind of vague, but also interesting in terms of what it says about our society. Okay, let's say you see a image of somebody getting hit by a car, or maybe dead on the side of the road, dying, hurt. You don't know, when exactly the photo was taken, what the context is, how the photograph was captured to, you're mediated through a giant corporation that's even more Kafkaesque than even Kafka imagined. What does that mean, report a concern, report a problem? Who are you reporting to? What is the concern? So I think even in the very UI, you can learn things about our times.
What was I saying? I'm looking for something. I've forgotten what. It was supposed to be right here, whatever it was. There I am, still searching. The light is changing. The sun is setting. It looks like the end of something.
One of the things I try to critique the most in my work, which is this sense that we don't understand our place in history. And there's a sense of ahistoricism. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? So I think it is important to understand how the internet has changed over nearly 2 decades now, since I started making art and consider myself a net artist. I saw the Haussmanization of the internet, where, before Baron Haussmann, Paris was this medieval city that was not modern in any way and was very hard to cross it, especially militaries. And if you were trying to create a modern capitalist society, it was the most efficient place. So he created these grand boulevards. And I saw the same thing happen with the internet, where rather than have all these diverse, used to go to websites, and as an artist, I would have my own website and consider it a work of art, and artists had their own website. Nobody goes to websites anymore because everything became filtered through these grand boulevards of Facebook streams, Instagram streams, X streams now, LinkedIn, and TikTok, obviously. And what it created was a world that was, first of all, that didn't have the same excitement of discovery, because it was like, especially as algorithms took further hold. The Flanner died with the loss of the Paris arcades. You know, so did me as a cyber Flanner. That era ended with the destruction of like the old internet. So now that that is no longer the case, my main focus in the past, I'd say 4 or 5 years, has been with AI. And it allows me to make work that I never thought I could afford to make in this timeline that I would never have been possible. So just as a tool like the photograph and the film camera and the printing press, I think it's a really incredible tool for artists. I'm not praising it. I think it's there's a sense in which it's terrifying. The people constructing these algorithms don't know the long-term effects they're going to have on society and our children. And just like Google Street View, yes, it's owned by this one corporation, but like the internet as a whole, we all can surveil each other and police each other also. I think algorithms are something fundamentally different than, as a form of totalitarianism and domination and there's not like just one interest here. There'll be algorithms at war with each other. In using it as a tool, I think I'm also fundamentally interested in, its effects on society. We live in a time where we truly don't understand what is happening to us as a people, and that's what I'm trying to figure out in my work, I guess.